Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Grand County, and thank you for being here at the Williams Fork Fire Evening Briefing for Sunday, August 16th. It is 5 p.m. Our fire is 6,345 acres, 0% contained, and we have over 90 folks working on this fire. Weather today was favorable. We had some calmer winds, some lower temperatures, 73 degrees on the fire. Our relative humidity is still pretty low at 11%. Winds were at 4 miles per hour out of the southwest. And I'm going to now introduce our Incident Commander, Ed LeBlanc from the Forest, for a fire update for you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to give you your operational update here for the Williams Fork fire. Over in the northern push of the division here, we went ahead and used retardant and used heavy air tankers to kind of slow this down, and the fire is held up on the ridgetop right here, and crews are making progress, still scouting opportunities out here somewhere we can put the containment lines as far as some longer term strategies and tactics out in this country. Down on the county road 3, crews continue to hold and protect structures in that area, including the Henderson Mill. They had a successful morning this morning, working with the employees at the mill and the firefighters to do some structure protection down there. This piece is what occurred yesterday and last night, pushing into the Darling Creek drainage and bumping against the Sugarloaf fire from 2018. We continue to have firefighter safety and public safety our number one objective in this fire. We are very concerned about the dead and down, the mountain pine beetle in this country, and that's all I have right now. End of report.
Good evening, everyone. Brett Schroetland, the Grand County Sheriff. Thanks for joining us on Facebook tonight. Speaking in regards to evacuations, the incident management team, along with local law enforcement, fire officials, and our other partners, have actively been working through the night last night and into today to identify immediate evacuation areas should that need arise. Currently, we've established over 15 different evacuation areas on the west and east end of the fire, should those evacuations become necessary. At this point, besides the evacuations that were put into place in the forest on Friday evening and the pre-evacuations on Saturday, there is no evacuations in place. There is no pre-evacuations in place. And through the remainder of today, at this time, I don't anticipate any pre-evacuations or evacuations to occur today. That's important to notate. I know there's a lot of rumors floating around out there as far as, is this place going to be evacuated? Is this place going to be evacuated? And we want to make sure we're providing very concise information to the community. So we're working on putting that into a map that'll hopefully go out to the community tonight or first thing in the morning, providing you a very detailed depiction of what those zones are should that need arise. Next, we do have the closure of the forest. That our deputies are supporting the Forest Service and making sure that that closure is secure and that all the occupants within that forest region are cleared out. So that's an ongoing effort this afternoon between the Forest Service and the Sheriff's Office, and it'll be going on into the evening. That's a slow, methodical process. We want to make sure that everyone is out of those areas. We want to make sure that any vehicles are out of those areas. We want to make sure that potentially any campfires are extinguished. It's a slow, methodical process. We want to make sure that those areas are clear, which allows our fire officials to continue working if this fire changes directions or goes in a certain direction. So for information on that closure, you can check out our Facebook page, and we'll share that closure as soon as it's posted up by the Forest Service. Lastly for me is our Stage 2 fire restrictions remain in effect. As I mentioned last night, super important. We're hot and dry. We responded to smoke reports yesterday. We responded to a small 20 by 40 foot grass fire yesterday. It's hot and dry, and it's not taking long for these fires to start. So remember, Stage 2 fire restrictions for all of Grand County. No open burning, no open smoking, no fireworks, no tracer rounds, no exploding targets, no exploding ammunition, and obviously the good old common sense that goes along with all of those. So thank you for your time, and I'll pass it off to my next person.
Good evening. My name is Glenn Trainer. I'm the Chief of Police for the towns of Fraser and Winter Park. I want to reinforce what Sheriff Schroetland said tonight and let you know that all the staff and crews for the town of Winter Park and Fraser are standing by and ready to assist should that become necessary. Once again, there are no evacuation orders or pre-evacuation orders in place at this point. We have developed evacuation zones and will continue to push those out as we're able to. Right now, the fire is approximately 7 miles from the town of Fraser. Areas further downwind from that, or down valley from that, like Tabernash, Pole Creek, those kind of areas, those are totally outside any areas of danger right now. So we would ask you just to be diligent and relax. And if the fire that we have identified, we will identify the citizens as we can to keep everybody informed. But what we need everybody to do right now is just to not panic and stay aware of the surrounding the news media, Facebook posting, that kind of thing. And of course, Code Red, which is the best information out there. Thank you.
Good evening, Shoshana Cooper, Forest Service. I'm the Agency Administrator Trainee, and I'm also the District Ranger here in the Sulphur Ranger District. So I want to talk about a few things this evening. Appreciate folks that are taking time to tune into this. One of the things that we're seeing is a lot of misinformation out there. So please make sure we're using the information sites that we have available for fire information. We're posting information on InstaWeb and on the Facebook page and on the Sheriff's page. Those are excellent places to get some accurate information. We are all working together with our partners and cooperators in this community, and we are not able to just about together. One of the things that we had talked about yesterday, and we saw that again today, is talking about the resources and what priority is this fire. So as we had talked about yesterday, we're one of 4 big wildfires in Colorado right now. So we're all competing for the same resources. We coordinate those resources across the region based off the highest priorities. And so for our fire currently, we don't have structures that are threatened. We have not lost any structures. And sometimes so some of those other fires that have lost structures or have structures threatened, resources are diverted to help those places out. So we're all in this together, and that's, I think, important for people to remember. We have had some challenges with communication, we've heard. As we kind of discussed yesterday too, the first 24 to 48 hours are very dynamic. We pulled together a local Type 3 team, and that team consists of different interagency partners. We have representatives from the state, from the county, and everybody's coming together to form a team information. They address the fire operations, and we're also trying to address the communication aspects. The Type 2 team is coming in to take this fire so that they can provide additional resources. A Type 2 team is built with built-in capacity. They come with a lot of resources preloaded. So we'll see an increase in communication and outreach when we get those additional resources in to help with that. If you have questions, please ask them in our Facebook feed, and thanks again for tuning in.
Thank you everyone for that update, and I forgot to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Shelly Olson. I am the Public Information Officer, PIO we call it, for Grand County, and working on this Type 3 team, and also going to transition in with the Type 2 team. So it's time for our question and answer session. I've got a lot of questions in Facebook, so I'm going to start reading them off. The first question is for Operations RIC. Did the wind blow back on itself?
The wind today was favorable out of the eastern direction, and it was coming back and blowing the smoke back on the fire, and actually the smoke was shading the fire, and that kept the fire behavior down somewhat today.
So based on the weather, wind, and humidity, is the situation expected to get worse, same, or better?
We see the forecast as this is going to be a long possible 2 months. We're coming in our dry part of the season, and this is going to be a long haul. We're looking at expected containment date sometime in October.
Why are southwest winds favorable?
Southwest winds are not favorable because that would push that fire towards Fraser and Winter Park. East winds are more favorable for this particular fire.
How far in miles is the fire from Fraser?
Roughly 7 miles from the town of Fraser.
How many hotshot crews, bulldozers, air support?
We have multiple air tankers working, sharing between this fire and the Cameron Pass fire. We have 1 shot crew here, and we have 10 shot crews on order. We have 4 bulldozers on order, and with the amount of drawdown right now, we're waiting for those orders to be filled.
Thank you. Questions are for the sheriff. Is there any consideration to slow tourist and visitor traffic into the valley, especially now that the forests are closed for recreation?
So I think that the Forest Service closure will do a little bit of that for itself, but we're also entering into the business week, and we're getting off of another busy weekend, and our traffic volume heading back down to Denver was pretty heavy today. So all those people have kind of cleared themselves of the problem, and we're going to continue to monitor that. As part of our evacuation plans, we did discuss some potential routes as far as if we needed to do evacuation routes as far as vehicular traffic, and we'll be updating the community on those as those become finalized in the next couple days.
Any updates on Pole Creek and Tabernash?
So both of those areas were discussed within our evacuation plans. The Pole Creek area was identified as an evacuation point. Currently, with everything that's going on right now, the Tabernash area has not been identified as an evacuation point, but that can change very quickly. But at this point, we've identified the neighborhoods and subdivisions closer to the forest boundary and to the west and to the south.
Are the areas like Moose Run that were previously under pre-evacuation orders now no longer under pre-evacuation order?
So that area does remain under a pre-evacuation order. It was posted on our Facebook page last night, and that is actually the yellow polygon that you'll see on that map, which still identifies that area as a pre-evacuation zone, and that'll remain in effect at least for the next day or so.
These next questions may be for the forest. Do you project that the forest is going to remain closed until October?
So I just want to clarify that. We have a closure area in place. We have over 400,000 acres on the Sulphur Ranger District. The closure area is only a much smaller section of that entire area. The closure area, the size will be modified based upon the behavior of the fire and the threat to public safety and the safety of our firefighters. So what I would anticipate is as we're going into the later season, that closure area will be modified and shrunken as the area that has burned is in the black and it's safe to go into.
What exactly will a Type 2 team do that is not being done now?
So with a Type 2 team, like we had mentioned earlier, they come with a built-in resources, and it also is a higher complexity level for the fire. And when there's a higher complexity level, there is more of a need to divert resources based upon what is happening. And so having that team in place, they'll have a lot more capacity to bring in those additional resources.
Okay, thank you. This question might be for the sheriff. You may not be able to answer this, but will the highway through Rocky Mountain National Park be open for evacuations if needed?
So the Rocky Mountain National Park staff is obviously one of our partner agencies. As we move forward with our evacuation plans, we'll be including them in that. But at this point, we focus our efforts on these areas closest to the fire.
What does stage 2 mean?
So previously, Grand County was in stage 1 fire restrictions, which are Basically, no fires within the dispersed areas. Stage 2 increases that significantly, so there is no fires at private residences or public areas, and then just really hones in on the no smoking, no tracer rounds, no exploding targets, basically no open burning whatsoever. It's just a upgraded restriction level.
How far is the fire from Winter Park?
I think we're right about 7 miles for there, very comparable to Fraser.
What is going to happen with Henderson Mill?
So our staff in the liaison unit has been in contact with the Henderson Mill. They do remain under pre-evacuation orders at this time, but we've been in constant contact with them. I spoke with some of their workers this morning, and they are planning on to return to work tomorrow to keep that business running and keep their essential operations going.
This question is for Winter Park and Fraser PD. If you are a tourist in Fraser and can safely pack and leave, should you? Or is it safe to wait until further news?
Well, right now there are no areas of Fraser or Winter Park that are in pre-evacuation. However, given that fire behavior is often unpredictable, I would ask people just to use their best common sense to determine whether they should stay or not.
Thank you. Our next question is for operations. In a realistic worst case scenario, how quickly could the fire potentially start to threaten residential areas in Fraser? Would it take a single day of bad fire weather or 2 days in a row?
This could take a single day of bad fire weather because we have all this fire line that is unchecked right now. So one bad day of southwest winds, it could reach Fraser and Winter Park in one day.
How far is the fire from the peak of Morse Mountain?
I'm not familiar with Morris Mountain. For Bottle Mountain, I believe we're about 2 to 3 miles from Bottle Mountain.
Do you know how far the active fire is from County Road 324?
I don't know where 324 is.
How fast is the fire moving?
Today we had a much better day. The fire is moving at a much lower rates of spread today.
Do you have the data and imaging from the multi-mission aircraft flight today? And if so, what does the data tell you and how does it help?
Yes, the MMA has been very helpful. That we've been getting 2, 3, 4 flights a day. That gives us the accurate acreage and mapping that we can utilize to build maps like the one you're looking at now.
How far is the fire from Spring Creek?
I'm not familiar where Spring Creek is.
How fast is the fire moving?
It depends on if it's got available fuel. If it's got an available pocket of fuel and you have alignment with slope, wind, topography, and fuel, it usually will move very quickly up that slope, slow down, and then back down the slope on the back side of that.
Is Sheep Mountain in the line of the fire?
Not sure on that.
Okay, I think the next questions are going to be for the sheriff. Sheriff, can we use a pellet smoker?
I would need to actually read our ordinance. If we could take down their information off of Facebook, we will get back with them on that. But I need to read up on that a little bit more.
If leaving town, should we leave hoses attached to outdoor faucets? Or is there anything else we can do to make defending easier?
Yes, that would be correct. They should do that.
I live in Winter Park Ranch, and I got a pre-evacuation notice. Is that correct?
So I would have them actually check their code red information to make sure that's actually entered correctly within our system. I don't believe that anyone within Winter Park Ranch should have received a notification from us. Let me add to that a little bit. A lot of times people will either move and their information isn't updated in code red. So we just want to make sure we have the most accurate information on file to make sure that that is correct.
Post on Facebook, where will all the information be stored that we can go look at, like a website?
So we go to gcemergency.com. Use gcemergency.com for all of your official information. Forest Service releases.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. Good evening, everyone. A few questions for public information. One is where can we donate water, Gatorade, and granola bars? And I just want to let you know that all of the firefighters out there fighting fire on the line have all the food and water that they need. They've come self-sufficient, and our fantastic logistics folks have taken care of them. And the Type 2 team, again, comes with a lot of resources. So thank you. We really appreciate that. The firefighters appreciate that. The best way to thank them is to maybe make them a homemade card, make a poster, and put it on the sidewalk or the road. They love to see that when they're driving by on their way back through town. So that's the answer. Also, I would push the Grand Foundation. That's another great charity that's local that can help local folks. The Mountain Family Center is another one. And then another question I had was, and it kind of went off of what the sheriff said, should you leave your hose attached? I want to direct everyone to another website. Now, gcemergency.com does have this website on it, but it is called bewildfireready.org. If you go there to Ready, Set, Go, under resources, you will find a wildfire action guide. It is a page, 11-page brochure, tells you exactly how to be ready, be set for an evacuation, and how to go. So please refer to that. There's a ton of information there. So thank you, and I'll go look and see what other questions we have. This question is for the Forest Service. How far away is the fire from County Road 304?
I'm not sure for that one, actually.
Okay.
Is the number correct on there?
I don't.
We can follow up and
Yeah, we'll
answer
follow up on
in
that
comments.
one. Thank you, Shoshana. And just to remind everyone, this is a live Facebook, but this will be available on the Sheriff's Facebook page after we are done, so you can go back and you can watch it again, and you can see that a lot of the questions that you're putting in now have already been answered. So I will continue on and see if we have any more questions. This question is for operations, IC. Will the fire have to cross above tree line to reach Fraser? Please talk about fire behavior at the mountaintops.
If we're at the mountaintops, it'll get into the tundra and the continental divide, and it should run into rock anywhere you get above about 12,000, 13,000 feet. But there are stringers of timber that can fire can run into the town of Fraser through stringers of timber, and that is possible.
Great, okay, thank you for that. I have an answer to the question from before. How far away is the fire from County Road 304? 10 miles. Nightly, this is going to be our Type 3 team's last meeting, public meeting, but the Type 2 team will come in and do public meetings. They will be able to resume that on Tuesday night. Monday is going to be our big transition day, so we're going to be doing that. This question is for the Winter Park Fraser PD. Will Winter Park Resort temporarily be closed?
My understanding from information I learned earlier today is that the resort is closing basically all of its areas within the National Forest. They are keeping I believe the base area open for the time being, but as an example, Mary Jane Road, the Mary Jane area, all the areas up at the top of the resort are currently closed.
Okay, this question is for the forest. Can you confirm that the other fire near Monarch Lake was 100% contained?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Sheriff, question for you. Should second homeowners be clearing valuables from their houses now, even if they are not in an evacuation zone?
So up here in the high country, we're always really at that ready phase of wildfire precautionary stuff. And so you always want to make sure you have a plan in place. I wouldn't necessarily encourage everybody to be returning to these areas right now, because if you return to these areas for property, we need to make sure that we can prepare for evacuation should those arise. And so it's super important that if you're away from the area, please don't return to the area, because that adds additional strain on our resources.
Great, thank you. And we have a message from Operations IC.
Yes, we're getting a lot of questions on the comment I had about the fire possibly getting to Fraser in one day. This would be in the worst case scenario and optimum burning conditions. As we know, we have a lot of fuel out here. When we have a plume dominated fire, it can spot in front of itself, and we can have problems catching the spots, and these fires can move very quickly. That is in optimum conditions. Right now, the fire is backing towards the town of Fraser and moving at somewhat low rates of spread. I just wanted to clarify that for everybody.
Thank you. Okay, I think I'll answer a couple of these questions. How can I help, again, is another question. So I think, we have a lot of firefighters, a lot of resources, a type 2 team coming. So I would highly suggest you contact your local fire department for volunteer opportunities. I know the Red Cross needs volunteers. There's always a great place for volunteers at our local community level. But when we have type 3, type 2, type 1 teams coming in, and I say 3, 2, 1, one being the more complex, the most complex fire, we have structure in place. We have many, many people to help us out. So we really, again, appreciate all of the outreach. We thank you all so much. This is a great community. We are so thankful that you are, here supporting us and with your patience and everything. We work through these 24, 48 hours and get, like I said last night, get our feet up, get our feet under us and move on. So thank you again for that. And we have another question for our IC.
We did have a question where the town of Fraser is, and that town is right up here in this corner right here.
Another question, how people can help. You can help by being out when you're on your social media platforms, directing people to the places to go for information. So we mentioned gcemergency.com. We've been talking about that website for a long, long time, and that is the place where you will find all the information regarding the Williams Fork fire. We put a special tab there with a page, and you'll be able to go there. Again, for preparedness, bewildfireready.org is great. And of course, the sheriff has his Facebook page, and Office of Emergency Management has their Facebook page. The Arapahoe Roosevelt Forest has their Facebook page. But again, as the Type 2 team comes in, we will have a dedicated Williams Fork Fire Facebook page. But again, on the county side, gcemergency.com is the place to go. Sign up for Code Red. If you are a visitor, a tourist, and you're in this area, please download the Code Red app to your phone, so you will receive emergency notifications about what is happening in the area that you are currently in. So if in fact we have to evacuate other areas, you would receive that notification in that area and be notified. So thank you for that. And I don't think we have very many questions. A lot of them have been answered. Go back and watch this video again, and we thank you for being here. And we will see you, I guess, Tuesday night with the new team. And again, thank you so much, Grand County.